So the Andor series has finally arrived, and the first 3 episodes are up on Disney+. The results are in, and to no one's surprise, they are somewhat mixed. Most people really like the show so far. Some people don't, and I feel like those are the people that you're never going to please with anything Star Wars, especially anything Disney. But I think there is a general consensus among all groups of people that this is different from the Star Wars we've gotten before. Some people like that. I like that this is a change of pace, and I'll get into some reasons why later on in the show. There's a whole separate group of people that don't like anything that deviates from the original ethos of Star Wars, so to speak. So we're going to get into that deep discussion about all of that and the reasons behind that, as well as a brand new game segment I'm very excited to share with you guys tonight. It's going to be a great time. You can play along in the chat, so stay tuned for that, but it's going to be a great time. So, hello, and welcome to Coffee on Korriban. Well, hello and welcome back to the show. Very excited to be with you guys on this Monday night, as I try to be every single Monday night. But before we get into anything, the comment of the week comes to us from the Matt Cave. He says, I am absolutely thrilled with this show. The gritty feel, the serious tone, and the era it's set in is amazing. I love the slow burn start to shows. It builds the world. I know it's a very different way to handle the Star Wars galaxy, but that is exactly what I want from this show. Really looking forward to your reactions for episodes 2 and 3. Well, I still have to edit 3, but that will be out hopefully before episode 4 drops. That's the goal. Anyway, let's say hello to some people in chat. We got Charlie. Here's a sip for you. Father Time, here's a sip for you. Israel Garcia, here's a sip for you. Jake76, here's a sip for you. Alan Copeland, here's a sip for you. KG, here's a sip for you. Did I get a haircut? No, I don't think so. My hair is still long. It's just dark and hidden behind my headphones, I guess. But if you're complimenting me, then thank you, I guess. Jake76 says, how are you doing? Love your remake of Valhalla Calling Me. Yes, thank you very much. I'm glad you appreciated that. That song was stuck in my head, and I just had to do something with it. It's a shame it got very few views, but it was very fun to make, and I do want to make a full song if I get a chance. Didn't know Father Time was your real father. Well, speaking of, let's see if I have a stinger for him.
Oh, it is so good. That's not where it's really good.
All right, my guests for tonight, Father Time and Israel Garcia. For the first time, very happy to have you on, Israel, because you are. I'm gonna just say you're my best commenter on this channel. You always have the most insightful, thought-provoking comments, and I greatly appreciate it. So, gentlemen, how are you guys doing today?
Excellent. It's a Monday. Yeah. It's a Monday, but that's good.
Awesome.
I would agree with that. Definitely Monday.
Yeah, it's nice because this is something I look forward to on Mondays. So there is no like, oh, it's Monday. Like I look forward to this, and it gets me hyped for the rest of the week, especially because we have Andors on Wednesdays now. So it divides the week up. Monday, Wednesday. I know other people have different stuff that they do on their channels. But it's nice to have that kind of breakup in the work week. Still love the new opening. Charlie, you're welcome to join if you want. Hit me up on Discord if you want a link, and I will send that over to you. But initially, we'll start with you, Father Time.
Yeah.
Overall rating out of 10 for these first 3 episodes as a whole. How are you liking the show so far?
As a whole, I'm going to go 8.
I respect
8.
it.
Strong 8.
Strong 8.
Strong 8.
Maybe verging on 8.5.
8.5, getting closer to 9. There's a couple things I can't think of them at the moment, but there's a couple things that I would like for them to have clarified.
Right.
Because I just need it stuck in my face. I don't want to have to figure it out. But
sure.
That's me.
And that's going to come with the territory of this show. There's a lot that the general audience is not going to know that we're going to pick up on. But honestly, like, who the main antagonists are, I'm not even 100% certain on. I have some ideas, but there's a lot still left up in the air, and I think that's by design. I don't really have a problem with it. Israel,
Is all this a mishap because he's searching for his sister, or is he really up to something else? I don't know.
sure, that's a good question, and I mean, we essentially only got the pilot episode.
Yep.
Let's be real. This is 3 episodes. It's pretty much just like the pilot.
I expect my 8.5 to go higher, a lot higher.
This is the opening, and it's strong. It is a strong opening. So Israel, just these first 3 episodes out of 10, what do you give it?
Ooh, a solid 9, maybe even 9.5. There's one or two things that kind of broke immersion for me, but other than that, I have really enjoyed just seeing the daily lives of the Star Wars people, just getting a look. I feel like, I don't know, too often I think we associate Star Wars with the Skywalkers or with, the Jedi and the Sith and the great conflicts. And I think it's really cool just to kind of take a step back and see how the average Joes are doing. So this has been really fun for that.
Yes. And actually, Father Time, I was talking with you about this the other day. It doesn't have anything to do with lightsabers or space battles yet, or the Force, or the Sith, or the Jedi, or ancient texts, or prophecies, and it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. And I had mentioned this probably almost a year ago, that Star Wars can be more of a medium to tell stories rather than just what we see in the movies. Like, you can have whatever show you're going to make normally, but set it in the Star Wars universe and have little tie-ins to the larger picture. And I think that's exactly what they're doing in this show. I expect it to really tie in as we get farther in the season, and especially second season, to the Rebellion, maybe Thrawn. We were talking about that last week. But as of right now, it's just a TV show that happens to be set in the Star Wars universe. KG says 8.52, 8.7 for Dale. I'm going to go 8.7 because 8.5 seems a little low for how I'm feeling about it, but I don't know if I'm quite committed to a 9. Mainly
that's
because
where I was, but that's why I said 8.5. A strong
okay.
8.5. So maybe I'll switch it to 8.7.
All right, we'll go 8.7. I like that number. Not even 8.75, just 8.7. I like it. But yeah, very, very, very strong opening to this show. Alan Copeland says 9 out of 10. Yeah, a lot of people like it. About 50%, a little over 50% of the people that responded to my polls said that they thought it was, 5 out of 5 stars for these first couple episodes, which is really strong. About, 10% said that it was a 1-star complete loser of a show. But, those are the people you're never going to persuade anyway. You can give them the best thing in the world and they're not going to care. They'll find stuff to complain about it. We all know that. Anything that stood out to you guys specifically, Israel, we'll start with you. Anything that jumped out that just screamed, this is amazing, this is what I want from the show?
I think it was the little moments, Andor's interactions with B, or I really liked when now I'm trying to think of the moment, but basically when they're in the office, the corporate office, and the boss is telling, and I can't remember the character's name, but the main antagonist for the first 3 episodes, he's telling him, look, I don't want you to look into this. I don't want you to cause waves because I just want to kind of let this blow over. And that was really interesting for me, just to kind of see like, oh, these are the people beneath the empire, and they don't want to make waves, and they are even willing to let people die just so that they can live a little bit more comfortable. And those kind of moments were like, yeah, this is what it's like to live under the role of the empire.
Definitely. Yeah, and it's interesting because I was thinking about who these people exactly are, because I don't know if it's explicitly stated what their role is. But from what I gathered, and if I had to guess, it almost seems like they are hired security for the Outer Rim planets that they don't have the resources to send mass amounts of stormtroopers to. That's kind of the feeling I got. And Dale, there's a standout moment. He shot the guy in the face. So I don't know if you guys caught, but I called that on Obsession stream hours before the show dropped. I said he was executing someone, shooting him in the face, and it's going to be really dark. And I was right. I nailed it. But if I had to guess, I would say that these are probably like mall cops, like hired security that, they can shoot you, but they don't really have any overall authority. They're just security guards, essentially. They don't have the training or the tactics. Because it seems like something Palpatine would do is just hire out some guys for the farther worlds that are a little too distant from the core. I don't know. That's what I gathered. What do you guys think about that?
I would agree. I mean, they're even in when they're sitting at the consoles, they're so laid back. They're not hardcore military. They were just like
That's
eating
true.
and messing around and like, oh, here he comes, sit up straight. They wouldn't do that if they were
Right.
truly in deep.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he was almost seemed like the outcast among the ranks for being too professional, if you know what I mean.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that the everyone kind of treats him like, oh, dude, you're basically a mall cop. Like, why are you treating this like CSI? Like the guy who was watching the hyperlanes or whatever was like, oh, for reals? Like he wants me to dig through all of this?
Yeah. That reminds me of that scene in Paul Blart where he's like, why can't you just punch in, shut up, and punch out like everybody else? Well, safety never takes a holiday. Did your mom crochet that on a pillow? I gotta watch that movie again. It's so good. Let me send an invite to Charlie real quick. We see if we can get him in here because I always love his take on things as well. But chat, I just wanted to remind you real quick before we get any farther in this discussion, if you want to go ahead and comment for the Republic on this video, not in the chat, not in the live chat, comment on the actual video for the Republic, for the algorithm, but really for the Republic. We'll just call it that. So anything that stood out to you, Father Time?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely just straight up visually insane. I mean, we're talking about like details, small details behind the scenes, but more so the complexity of the characters already. Like the main antagonist, you can see he's so torn. Why is that?
Yeah.
I'm really interested to find out.
Well, the interesting thing is he's not a bad guy. Like there's nothing really about him that tells you that he's a bad guy. He's doing his job. And it's not even like doing his job in terms of like the stormtroopers who go and, kill the Jawas and Owen and Baru or anything like that. They're not doing anything wrong. They're just mall cops. They're just doing their job. So it's very interesting. And you can see how torn he is when, he wants to do the right thing. His boss is telling him, don't worry about it, make up a false story. But he can't let that rest. He has to. And
he did it. He did it anyways. And that last scene, you could see in his face, he's freaked out now.
Right, because he's in trouble. His boss is going to say, "This is why we lie and we lay low." Especially because I think they were having
and now we have more people
inspection
dead
or something. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Charlie, I want to get your thoughts on these first episodes.
Awesome.
1 out of 10. What's your ranking and why?
Man. Just sheer shock factor of awesomeness. I'm gonna go like a 9-10ish area. Hello there, Ladaj.
Yeah, 8.2 for him. Ladaj, you're welcome to join as well. Hit me up on Discord if you want.
Yeah, it's between like just the cinematography and set design and all the acting, like close-ups, the transition of flashbacks, the story that's being told.
Mm-hmm.
It's and of course, just love it. Yeah,
under review for their crime rates. That's right. I don't remember. Maybe it was that blonde lady from the trailers that was coming to audit them, so to speak. That's very possible. I don't know if we learned who exactly was coming to do the review, or who he was going before. I don't know. Someone knows. Someone correct me. But yeah, just I love that they released all 3 of these. I think that was the right decision. Was that was that mom sneezing?
It was. Your mother sneezed in the other room.
That's awesome. Hi, Mom. But this would have been a pretty slow and kind of humiliating release if they released these one at a time with a week in between for these first 3 episodes. Especially with episode 2. I felt it was really slow if it had been on its own. Treating them all 3 as one and watching them back to back to back, it doesn't feel that way. So I definitely think it was the right decision to push it back. Bless your mom.
I watched them twice. I watched it twice, and the second time I don't remember the second episode being slow. It seemed fun.
Okay. So it might be because we were just so we were anticipating something happening at any second, and it really didn't in that second episode. But one thing you touched on that is the real standout for me is the detail, the set designs. Even the characters and their outfits and stuff too, but mostly just like the scrap pieces of metal way off in the background have grime and rust on them. Every little piece in this set is beautiful. You think to Book of Boba Fett or Obi-Wan Kenobi or even Mandalorian, like these sets look like sets in comparison to what we've gotten so far in Andor. The places in Andor on that planet of, is it Ferrix?
Yeah, Ferrix.
Okay. They look like actual places that have been there for 100 years. They look like people have worked there their entire lives. Everything about it just looks lived in. I think that's a phrase a lot of people have been throwing around the last couple days. It feels lived in. It feels real. It brings the humanity to to the Star Wars universe in the same way that Rogue One did. So,
which is my favorite movie, by the way, out of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yep, we've been talking about that.
I would agree about the dirt thing. Like, I don't know. I feel Star Wars it's weird when you see somebody who's supposed to be rolling around on Tatooine or whatever the dirt planet was where Obi-Wan was, and they're like, their faces are clean and their clothes are clean,
Mm-hmm.
and it just totally makes it feel like you're watching a production rather than having a view into a world.
Exactly.
And this definitely felt much more like this is lived in. It felt lived in.
Yeah. And Father Time, you mentioned this a couple days ago when we were talking on the phone, that the workers in the scrapyard, that's their day job. They do that.
That's what they do for their whole
10
life.
hours a day. That's their life. That's what they do. I would love to see
gloves
I would
on the
love
wall.
to see the equivalent of that, but on it's Braca, right, with the shipyard.
Oh yeah,
like that, just a real place that people would work, and that's what they do. The part that really got me for the sets was when she went into the back of that one shop to call to Luthen in that little circle room or whatever in the tube. Yeah, when she was walking through the back little courtyard there was just rolls of material, of stuff. It's like, I want to know what that is. Like, what is that used for in the Star Wars universe? Because if someone from a different planet came here and looked at like a warehouse, they would see rolls of electrical wire or conduit or something.
Bubble packet of tape.
yeah, exactly. And so that's really interesting to me. And I know a lot of other people might not even care about that stuff. But again, the world building is the most important part for me. That's a real world. I want to know about that. That's so interesting to me. So I think we're all in agreement that this is a very solid show so far. It's different, and we'll get into in just a few minutes how it's different from other Star Wars. We're going to talk about that. But first, it is time for News from the Stars.
From the farthest corners of the galaxy and every channel in the HoloNet, we bring you News from the Stars.
So I came across this article the other day, or rather Google sent it to my phone in the form of a notification. And the title of this article really intrigued me, and I had to include it. It's from Bounding Into Comics, written by Slade Hill, and you know it's going to be good when it's written by a guy named Slade. But the title is Star Wars Andor triple episode debut review, the epitome of terrible.
Really?
And I thought,
That's pretty hardcore.
okay, consider me intrigued. I want to know why you hate this so much. And it's worse than I thought. I'll just preface it by saying that it's bad. So he says Andor is a bad show, and we're only 3 episodes in. The set designs are boring. Are you serious? Like, really? But I'll continue. The set designs are boring, bland, and uninspired. The supporting characters feel wooden and uninteresting, and the story is just plain awful. Worse, Lucasfilm's attempt to shake up the Star Wars formula and turn it into something more gritty and adult ends up robbing it of whatever semblance of magic was left in the franchise.
Really?
Okay.
All right. You know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like somebody who's been ingesting Marvel shows for too long and wants to be wowed and awed with particle effects in their face.
Hey, Slade, how is She-Hulk going for you?
I have not bothered to. Nope, not even a little bit.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just overly harsh. And when they said that about the set designs, I was like, "Are you serious?"
Like, go back to that comment again. Pull that up. The supporting characters feel wooden and uninteresting. They do feel wooden. I'll give them that. But that's because their life is so hardcore.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's the acting is great.
Yeah,
the acting is great. They're playing their parts. They do. That's what they do. Oh, hey, so I hear Sus T in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, just they go on. Here's where they talk about what they liked about the show. Okay, this is the good. The good. I make the claim with absolutely no hubris, malice, or bias that there is absolutely nothing good about Andor. It's a horrible, plotting, boring, meaningless creation with absolutely no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Expectations for the show were already quite meager, but it's hard to believe Andor could cram in so much failure into one production. That was the good.
Really?
That they had nothing good to say.
Clearly, this guy
show.
just wants to be talked about, and it's working.
Congratulations, Slade Hill. What was his name? Slade Hale. Okay. My goodness. So he said there is absolutely nothing good about this show at all. Can you guys each think of one thing that would be good to the general population, even if they don't know something about Star Wars? I'll start. The guy got shot in the face. That's pretty interesting. Father Time, what do you think? One good thing about this show to a normal person?
I don't know what normal people want, though.
Okay, what from a normal TV show, like a everyday you turn on the TV.
Yeah, it's a suspense. There's a mystery. We don't know what's happening.
There we go.
I bought in.
There we go. Charlie, what do you think?
You add in the more realism jobs. You're living on a heck of a planet that requires a lot more day labor, but at the same time, add in the Star Wars flavor where you get a guy that's really enthusiastic about how he goes for the morning and evening of the.
Yes. Oh, yes. That guy's really cool. Okay. All right, Israel. What do you think?
Into that.
I was wondering what they were going to use that for in the trailer.
I love it.
So
I
happy.
love it. All right, Israel. One good thing.
I think that the character progression, even in just these first 3 episodes, is really interesting. I think the official from the corporate entity was really interesting, and I also think that Tim, for his short, crappy character development, actually was an interesting character because of it. Like, he was this guy who was infatuated with a lady, and he got jealous and did some stupid things as a result. And I think that character development or anti-development or whatever you want to call it was actually an interesting little arc, and that I think normal people would be interested in that.
Yeah, it brings the realism, which I think is the through line between this show so far. is the realism between the sets and the characters and the locations and the plot devices. It's just how normal people would react in these situations. We all know a guy that would get jealous like that, and if we don't, we can imagine that being a real person. There's a whole lot of realism there, but we're not done with this article just yet.
Really?
The most unforgivable aspect of Andor is that it doesn't feel like Star Wars in any way, shape, or form. Also, I will point out they forgot the Oxford comma after shape. So, Slade, get your stuff together. In fact, it is so far removed from everything that makes Star Wars what it is as to become some character in its own right. The set designs, lighting, pacing, editing, even the music move purposely away from Star Wars while ripping off Blade Runner wholesale, I might add, and tossing in a dash of Wall-E and Apocalypto for laughs.
I did see Wall-E.
Wow.
I did see Wall-E for sure.
Right. But, okay, I love the soundtrack. The music is so cool.
Yeah, no.
Even when he goes into the brothel in the first episode and it's playing like the club music, that reminds me of Lower Terrace in the KOTOR games. I don't know if you guys remember that. If I'm editing this after the fact, I'll add in some of that music so you guys know what I'm talking about. But like the soundtrack is really cool. And sure, we hear like drums. Okay. So what? It's a TV show. It's a little bit different. Now, if they put like rock music into a Star Wars movie, like a theater released movie, sure, I might have a problem with that. But for a show, like the music is cool. And what else did he say here? It doesn't feel like Star Wars in any way. What? Where do you get that? Does this feel like Star Wars to you guys?
Absolutely. Again, you were talking about the bell ringer earlier, and that kind of a thing is totally is so in line with Star Wars to have this ultra technologically advanced society doing something the backwards way is like the most Star Wars thing you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's something I've always wondered as far as like the technology. Is the progression of technology that we've experienced in our world the only way the technology could have progressed? Or is there a way that an alternate reality of our Earth could have gotten to the point where we have smartphones, but no one ever thought of airplanes? Like they haven't developed one technology, but they have excelled in another technology. And Star Wars feels like that to me. They've excelled in space travel, in hyperdrives and levitation technology, but like screens and readouts and communication is so far behind what we have here in America.
That's funny. Yeah.
It's really interesting, and I've always wondered that about Star Wars. And someone pointed out to me, I think, actually, they didn't point out to me, it's something I saw. Adam Savage from Mythbusters was talking about the design of spaceships and how it's set apart from Star Trek. Star Trek is our world, but in the future. And so all the ships are nice and polished and professionally built. Star Wars is a dystopian past where everyone is scrambling for resources. So you see mismatched panels and stuff stuck onto the sides of ships and nothing looks polished. And when it does look polished, it really stands out. I'm thinking of the Naboo cruiser, the all silver shiny one.
Yeah.
And that distinguishes royalty. But it's very interesting. Like I've always wondered, is our progression of technology that we have here the only way that technology ever progresses? Or is there, Edison never invents the light bulb, and so we're still using candles, but we have smartphones? Something along those lines. It's a very interesting dynamic that I've always wondered.
Sledge Hate, or whatever his name was, mentioned that he didn't like the set design, and I'm like the first thing that popped into my head when I heard
Sledge Hate,
whatever his name is. The first thing that popped into my mind,
just the fact that you called him Sledge Hate.
Oh, it is so good. That's not where it's really good.
Let me tell you where it's really good. Right?
Not wrong.
So he is complaining about the set design, and the first thing that popped into my head was Tim's dumpy little apartment. And he's probably thinking, man, couldn't they have done a better set to give this guy a better apartment? But they couldn't have given him a better set. That's exactly what a junky little apartment would be in that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, it has to feel real and grounded, and it absolutely does, even if it comes. What did you call him? Sledge Hate?
Yeah.
I love it. That's so good. I think I got one more slide in this article. His finishing remarks. Not only is Andor easily the worst Disney-owned Star Wars property to date, that's saying something. It's also one of the worst sci-fi shows I have ever seen. Ignore all the talk about political and social underpinnings tacked onto the story by woke writers. None of that even matters because Andor is an overwhelmingly bleak, boring, and aimless show with nobody to root for. Of course, we're only 3 episodes in, but the thought of grinding through another 9 makes me want to beat myself over the head with a hornet's nest. Yes, the series will bring back characters like Saw Gerrera, but to what end? Andor is so bad that it doesn't even mimic the properties of Rogue One, which is considered by most to be the only shining success of Disney's Star Wars lineup. Well, thank you, Sledge Hate.
Wow.
Punch him right in the Clovis.
I was thinking that same thing.
Punch him right in the cloak.
I got yeeted.
All right, so I just had to share.
There's
that
a sip
article
for you,
with
Sledge. There you go.
Here, all right, Mr. Sledge Hate. Here's a sip for you.
Makes
Oh,
us
man.
laugh.
Well,
Crazy.
I just you guys know I had to bring you the news from the stars.
From the farthest corners of the galaxy and every channel in the holonet, we bring you news from the stars.
Thank you.
Yeah, me and my stingers.
Uncalled for, Sledge Hate. Uncalled for.
Okay, so let's carry on that point a little bit. Let's talk about how this show is different from previous Star Wars. One being just kind of the tone. It's much darker, and some might say this is darker than any Star Wars we've gotten before. But if you remember in Rogue One, in the very beginning, he shoots his informant in the back.
The echo effect. Yep.
That's not much different than him shooting the guy in the face. So, especially because the other guy was attacking him, but in the other one, he just would weigh him down, and he just took him out. So, not only that, but at the end of Rogue One, everyone dies.
Yeah.
Everyone. That was the one thing that I said walking out of the theater after watching Rogue One was, wow, Disney, you did it. I didn't think you could, but you actually did it. You killed everyone. So
That's not a far stretch. That's actually what happened.
It's not the Jedi way. They must live.
Yeah.
After Andor, I'm really excited to go back and rewatch Rogue One.
Yes. Yeah, and especially if season 2 ties in really well and gives us information about the formation of the rebellion, it'll make you want to go back and watch episode 4, the original Star Wars, where it all began. And I think, what was it that I wanted to say? I think it was Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I was talking with Matt Cave, and I said it makes me want to go back and watch the original movie. And if a Star Wars product that comes out makes you want to go back to where it all began, it has to be good, right? That's got to be a good thing. So what are some things that you guys can think of that is different about this show from other Star Wars properties?
Can I go first?
Sure.
The big standout to me is that it's not trying to be campy, and I'm sure this is one of the things that our lovely writer that bothered him. But the truth is that there some of the worst parts about Book of Boba Fett or Obi-Wan was things like the Vespa chase or the running through the forest with Leia, those ultra campy moments that served no purpose and just felt awkward and out of place. And it's not to say that there was no levity whatsoever in Andor, because there totally was, with the big alien, or there was a couple of moments
that was really funny.
That was pretty funny.
You just told me to stand here. Good. You keep at it.
but it's done tastefully, and it's not immersion breaking. It's not awkward. It's just And that's a huge departure, and I think a
Mhm.
positive one.
Yes. Speaking of immersion breaking, there was only one thing that broke my immersion out of the entire 3 episodes, and that would be when Casa is standing on the edge of the giant crevice. It looks like a fake background. It didn't look right when you see all the mining equipment and the the scored hillsides leading all the way down into that quarry. It looked like a fake backdrop. It didn't look real. And I was thinking about it because that was the one part that. What's up, Lemon? Good to see you here. But it's the one thing that really brought me out of the story and made me think like, oh, that looks like a production rather than Star Wars. But I was thinking about it. It kind of gave me the same feeling that I had standing on the edge of the Grand Canyon. You're looking at it and it looks like a fake backdrop. Do you remember that, Father Time, when we were there?
Yeah.
The Grand Canyon is just so huge if you've never been there.
Hard to process what you're
You
looking at.
cannot explain how huge the Grand Canyon is. You're standing on the edge and it's you can't understand what is in front of you. It's not just a hole in the ground. It looks like just a fake something in front of you. Your brain can't register because your brain has never seen distance that far between you and another thing. It's very weird. And so it gave me the same feeling seeing that fake backdrop. So maybe they did it really well and recreated that. I don't know, but that was the one thing that kind of pulled me out of the story. Everything else is very immersive. And again, what you were saying about the campiness, those cheesy moments, especially coming from Disney, I didn't notice any. Some people were complaining about B2 Emo, saying like, "Oh, how is that droid supposed to talk? He's not a protocol droid." I don't care. I don't care. He's very funny as well. When he told him to like tell a lie, and then he said 2 things. That's 2 lies. But that's one thing that's different for me is there's nothing to really draw you out of it or make you roll your eyes and think like, oh, why did they throw that in there? With the exception of I don't think they're married. If you guys saw my reaction to part 2, yeah, I don't think they're married. And then the language in episode 3, which you guys know how I feel about that. But other than that, it's very immersive. And it's real. That's what's different than other Star Wars properties. There's nothing yet that is fantastical or magic about this. There's no fantasy to it just yet. It's just real. They just happen to be shooting blasters instead of bullets. I don't know. What else do you guys think of that's different?
Real. They're working in the scrapyard, taking hoses and cables out of parts, doing that every day, all day long.
Okay, so here's
nothing else to do with your life.
Sure. Here's a contrast. As far as realism, this is an actual job that people do every day for hours every day, 40 hours a week. Compare those guys in the scrapyard pulling wire and disassembling things and riding on cranes to Obi-Wan cutting up the giant manta ray. Which one seems more real? It's the scrapyard.
You're talking about an Obi-Wan when he was at the beginning.
Yeah. Obi-Wan chopping up the meat and taking some home.
Yeah.
Even, bruh, you're welcome to come on here. Let me know if you want to join. You're welcome. You're very welcome to. X-Wing. In fact, you're required to join because we're going to play a game in a couple minutes. I want you to be here. But also contrasting that with Rey cleaning up the parts and stuff and scrapping everything, salvaging whatever parts she can in the beginning of The Force Awakens. That feels more real than Obi-Wan cutting the meat. Mm-hmm. There's just a feeling to it. This feels like Star Wars. It feels really good. So yeah, X-Wing. Let me. You guys talk about something real quick.
Well, I was gonna say I'm gonna have to get out of here. My battery is almost at 16. I got 3 more hours. Sure. I appreciate letting me on here at least for a second. It was amazing. And my God, Sledge just
Sledge Hate.
My God,
I'm gonna edit that. I'm gonna clip that and
Please
edit
do.
it. Yeah.
Sledge Hate. My goodness. No, just my little thing
Bruh.
is.
All right. Congrats, dude. Huge congrats. Enjoy your honeymoon. Don't worry about it.
It was leaving on the realism of just literally what you said of it being like a real job, but just a long time ago, far away. Who'd have thought?
Yep.
And just adding that little effect of that one happy little guy who gets to go up on top of there and just do his little job.
He loves his job. He's got the best job.
And
He's
just
got the
how
best job.
to bring up Cassian's got to get to like the gray matter and everything, and for the flashbacks and everything else, he's had a pretty chaotic past and stuff. So you see where it's going, and it's really good, and especially like for realism on like a third world country and going into that. I love it, man.
Most of those people on that planet will never even know what light speed is.
Oh,
That they won't.
you're
muted.
Yeah.
I was coughing.
You just
So
nice.
yeah. So most people have no idea what the Jedi are. They don't know what the Force is. And so they hear rumors about, people that can move stuff with their minds. But then when the Empire takes over, they spread the rumors of, oh, these guys were just frauds and tricking people into giving them more money and power. They wanted to control everyone's life. So of course the general population would be against the Jedi. But it's a very interesting dynamic. Most people they live their lives and they know nothing of anything. It's the same thing in our world. You go to a rural area and you ask people like, oh, what do you think about the new Andor series on Disney Plus? They're like, well, I don't know. I got to tend to my corn harvest here. The people they don't know. They don't care.
Or even like who you voting for in November. They're like, I got to plow the field.
Right. I'm only
Whatever.
going to be here another 10 years. Why do I care? But it's the realism again. You have to suspend disbelief much more with lightsabers and blasters and Death Stars and moving things with the Force and Night Sisters and magic and ancient Sith texts. But pulling wire in a scrapyard and, hey, I stole something from these guys that's very valuable. This is my ticket out of here. You don't have to really suspend your disbelief all that much.
That's right, Sledge.
Yeah, come on,
Exactly.
Sledge Hate. All right. Well,
right.
It's time to play a game. It's good to see you, Charlie. If you got to take off.
Sorry, I have to get out of here.
All right.
Thank you for shooting me a link. It's always a pleasure talking Star Wars, even for a brief little minute. Father Tom, it is an honor, sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it.
You guys keep doing, okay?
All right. See you. All right. So this game.
I'm very curious. Oh, hold on. I'm very curious to find out where we're going with Happy Salesman.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Is that it, or is he coming back?
No, I said that in my reaction. Like, that's totally the guy you would run into on the bus.
Yeah.
So funny. So funny. All right. Game time. We're going to get into this game. Let me find my stinger here. It is called Obscure Star Wars Quotes.
Nice.
So this game, as the name might suggest, is about obscure Star Wars quotes. So I've picked a couple quotes from somewhere in the Star Wars movies. Now, this is not going to be in like the holiday special or season 3, episode 4 of the Clone Wars. This is going to be the main movies, so you'll have somewhat of a chance. But they're lines that might not ring a bell as to who said them or where they are. So you guys are going to have to guess either who said it, who they said it to, what scene it's from, something along those lines. As long as I know that you guys know where it's from, then you'll get a point or whatever. I don't know if there's any winners or whatever, but everyone in chat, you guys are welcome to play along. Let's find our first obscure Star Wars quote. Your tauntaun will freeze before you reach the first marker.
All right. So is it just
Do we
whoever's
just
first?
yell it out, or
Yeah, just if you guys know who said it or where
Empire
it's
Strikes
from.
Back?
Yeah. It's the deck officer, right?
When Han Solo was trying to go out and save Luke or look for Luke.
All right. Yep,
Yeah,
you guys got it. That was the easiest one, and the context is
Your tauntaun will freeze before you reach the first marker. Then I'll see you in hell.
so nice. You guys got that point. Excellent. Let's see if anyone in chat got it. Wedge. I don't know that it was Wedge. As far as I found, it was just Echo Base Officer. Yeah, X-Wing got it. I don't think he has a name, but you guys got it. You guys got it. X-Wing, I'm glad to see you playing along. All right, let's find our second one. It only gets harder from here.
Great.
Okay, you guys got yourselves a ship. We'll leave as soon as you're ready. Docking Bay 94.
Ooh, that's A New Hope. Han Solo says it to Obi-Wan and Luke as they're like leaving the cantina.
I
Excellent.
agree. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, you guys got it, and we'll see if you were right, which I just said you were right, but here you go.
Okay, you guys got yourselves a ship. We'll leave as soon as you're ready. Docking Bay 94.
94.
Very nice. You guys are 2 for 2. You guys are killing this. I think the
So we
next
got
one's going to be a little harder.
242 points.
Han and New
How does
Hope. I don't know how
scoring
the
work?
I don't know how the points works. You get 5 credits apiece. I don't know.
We have 242, he said.
All right, let's see. He has no time for smugglers who drop their shipments at the first sign of an Imperial cruiser.
Wasn't
All
that
right.
the guys coming to collect their money?
Yeah,
In
it's
what do they call those guys?
bounty hunter.
No, they have the. Oh, they're the glamour girls. No,
Rhodian.
he calls them the.
You guys have to tell me who said it.
Okay.
It's the team that's coming to collect on his ship, where they have the monsters caged up in the little boxes that get loose.
I'm pretty sure this is also A New Hope, and it's Greedo talking to Han in the cantina.
You might be right.
Even I get bored sometimes. Do you think I had a choice?
Very nice. Very
Who are
nice.
the glamour girls
That
I
one was
thinking?
interesting because it wasn't spoken in English. So I'm glad you guys got that.
Who are the glamour girls that I'm thinking of?
The guy who works for Ganja Club.
Yes,
Gosh.
that's.
Why don't you
Ganja
tell that to Ganja Club? All right. Man, you guys are killing it. You guys are killing
I
it.
didn't kill that.
Did
I
he
got
also
killed on
say
that
that though? I don't know. That'd be
think
very
he-
interesting if the Scottish guy said the same thing. I don't think so. But that'd be cool if he did. All right, let's keep going here. What else do I,
bet he
have?
did.
Someone to see you, honey. Jedi by the looks of him. Comments? Anyone?
Yeah, I think I know who it is.
Is it in Jabba's lair?
I'm pretty sure that it's, and I don't know the name, but it's the female robot at Dexter's Diner.
Someone to see you, honey! Jedi by the looks of him.
Obi-Wan! Hello, Dex.
Wow.
Awesome. Droid waitress to Kenobi. Yes, excellent. Oh, you guys are getting it. Very nice. You guys are killing it. All right, last one. I wish I had more, but this is the last one. All right, you old smoothie.
I'm not even gonna try on this one.
I have an idea. It just like the way the cadence works on it. I'm a guess that is Lando on the Cloud City platforms talking to Han, but I might be wrong.
Should I play the answer?
Please.
All right, anyone? Lando to Han, Han to Lando. Let's see what it is.
All right. You old smoothie.
Hello, sir. I am C-3PO. You.
It was Han to Lando. Good job, Darth Maximus. You get 5 credits. I'm not paying you though.
Imperial credits.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that game. Something I definitely want to bring back as a returning segment. But this has been Obscure Star Wars Quotes.
Yeah, I like the Greedo one with the text only. That was cool.
That was pretty clever.
Yeah. It's just an idea I had the other day. I was like, oh, let's play a game where we, I don't know. There's a lot of quotes that I'll watch the movies and I'll pick something out like, oh, I didn't even know that was in there. And so that's the whole point of the game is there's always stuff to learn. Thank you very much, X-Men. Sporkle.
Yeah, pulling stuff out of, like, I think it's called Huttese or whatever, where you only get subtitles is pretty clever.
Yes, that's definitely something I want to bring back. But yeah, glad you guys enjoyed the game. So let's talk about, for the last couple minutes we have tonight, what we can expect going forward. Kind of how we talking about episode 3 as well, because we didn't really talk a whole lot about that. So the Imperial security forces, they show up, the Morlana Corps, whatever they're called, they show up and they do a terrible job of capturing Andor. What was something that stood out from the 3rd episode, whether action or storyline or something, that you guys liked about that 3rd episode?
Something that just kind of I thought was interesting was, so when Tim gets over emotional and gets himself shot, the leader of that little squad or whatever gets rightfully angry that they just shot a civilian and takes the guy's gun away and sends him off to go back to the ship. And then even beyond that, the people who were there, like, I don't know if it was just they were doing it anyway or if it was specifically because they found out that one of the locals got shot, but the fact that they hooked up the piece of debris to his ship so that when he tried to escape and run away and run from his own killing, which is exactly what Andor was doing, that it totally killed him. And the unitedness of the workers on Ferrix was kind of cool. That was
the clangers,
the reckoning.
So it was really, really cool how they were smacking the things, and the lady said, "It's when it stops that's when you have to worry." Why? What happens when it stops? And then it stops, and we're wondering why. What happens when it stops? And there's just an eeriness to it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I knew they weren't in that speeder that blew up.
Of course.
I knew they weren't in it. I knew it was in misdirection, but they didn't know that. It was really cool. A lot of great action in this episode. I don't think I noticed anything cheesy as far as the action that would indicate like a chasing Leia through the forest and getting stopped by a branch, or Vespa speeding at 5 miles an hour through the town square.
There was a speeder, not speeding, but driving down the road in the background. It looked cool. It was the kind of vehicle you would expect. Just a slow drive by.
Yeah. But there was nothing about the action that was awful from what I remember. Total G. He's going to school Andor into the beast we see in Rogue One. Yes. I really want to see him bounce back and forth between Luthen and Saw Gerrera. I want to see that dynamic there and how he toughens up. Because right now he's just a street rat. Look what has become of you, a rat in the desert. You have a purpose here. I love that scene. That was the best. I don't even know what I'm talking about. What was I talking about?
Saw and
Saw Gerrera.
Luthen training Andor. And I think that's totally a thing, because while he was willing to fight back and shoot back, I feel like he definitely hasn't gotten quite the level of ruthlessness that he'll attain later. Like he shot the one guy in the face, yes, definitely, and he was shooting at the other people, but he shot the one guy in the face in order to try and cover himself and his tracks for having accidentally killed the other guy, not because he was totally cool with killing people. In fact, the shock on his face when he realizes the first guy's dead is very apparent. So I think Saw is going to make him more ruthless, and Luthen is going to make him more calculating.
Sure, and he's also has a ton to learn about what the rebellion even is, because I don't think he's even aware of the bigger struggle in the galaxy at this point. Exemplified by the fact that he was trying to go back after the Starpath unit, and Luthen was like, "No, that doesn't matter. You are what matters. Like the knowledge that you have and the ability to get into places is what makes you valuable. Those don't matter at all." So
the ability to get out of a place
and the
before
ability
you
to
get
get out
in
of a place. The best way to do that: shoot the guy in the face. But I really am looking forward to how he's going to transform between just this scared street rat guy that kills out of self-preservation, that is trying to scrap together a few credits to get off the planet, to where he turns into the pivotal key piece in the rebellion and eventually the stealing of the Death Star plans. Really interesting to see that development. I'm looking forward to it. He's definitely a totally different character than who we see in Rogue One, which is something I think a lot of people were worried about, and that we already know this character. We know how he's going to turn out. Like, what room is there for character development? But I think there definitely is room for change in his character. Let's see, the corpos, the security guards, the mall cops, were really bad at their jobs. They had no communication. They didn't know what they were doing. I really did like the guy blowing up in the ship. That's really funny.
The drag down ship.
Yeah. That was really funny.
He kept fighting it. He's like, I can fly it. I can get out of here. He wasn't trying to figure it out.
But the acting of the guy who plays Cyril Karn, I forget his name. I don't remember. The guy who plays Cyril Karn, the guy with the blue eyes, the main antagonist at this point. I thought he played that character brilliantly. Yes. Although, if you close your eyes, he sounds like Tom Cruise. I don't know if you guys noticed that. If you hear him from here on out, close your eyes and imagine Tom Cruise. But I thought he played that character very well. It's a very, very interesting character because, again, as we said earlier, he's not a bad guy. He's doing his job. I think that's the most interesting aspect of this good versus evil dynamic that we have in the show so far, is that these aren't really bad guys.
Yeah. I do think he got extremely zealous extremely fast, though. Like, and again, his original intention was definitely honor and integrity and upholding the law. But the way that he ransacked Andor's house and the way that he treated his mom and things like that definitely showed that he was already like going on a little bit of a power trip. And now that all of that's been washed away and it literally blew up in his face, I'm interested to see how that will play out for in the future. If he'll just like snap, or if he'll start to like think about whether or not what he's doing is right or what have you.
Yeah,
I know that he knew what he wanted to do. He just didn't have a plan to how to do it. He was trying to talk to the troops, and he didn't even know what to say.
Which he did say something in that speech. If you watch the most recent short that I just posted,
yeah, I saw that one.
Where he was like, sometimes the risk of doing nothing becomes the greatest risk of all.
And then he fell apart.
I was like, that's great. There could be no hesitation on the road to success and justice. Best of luck to us all.
That's so bad.
It was so cringy. And also the other second in command guy is pretty funny too.
He's hardcore.
He's very hardcore. Wakes up an hour early to polish his boots
And drinks on the job.
and drinks on the
Somehow
job.
both of those things.
Super professional and absolutely not at the same time. But they're very interesting characters. So I don't get how they can say the supporting cast is wooden. Would you call them Sledge Hate?
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Sledge Hate.
That's
In
the
fact,
best.
I'd go so far as to say that this is the least wooden, exterior, whatever side characters that we've had in a while. In the sense that, I mean, they are boring in the sense that their life is kind of dull, but as far as like the level of acting and the way that they, believe their characters feels very real. Whereas, and please, people don't hang me for saying this, but I'll admit that for the vast majority, there were parts that were redeeming, but for the vast majority, the character of Riva and the way that it was acted felt that actually did feel wooden and off. Whereas it felt like she didn't believe the situation she was in. Whereas these characters, they feel like they're actually participating in that world.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And with Riva, it was, you're the bad guy. Okay, guys, I'm the bad guy. Listen to how bad I can be. And it was very wooden, I guess, to use Sledge Hate's terms. But these characters, they feel authentic. Which,
that's a good word.
If you want to call that wooden, in the sense that they're not overly interesting and they don't grab your attention, sure, I guess that might be what he's trying to convey by calling them wooden. But they're not boring. In the sense that I don't know. Again, I look for the world building. I want to know about the realism, and this show is delivering on that. Not a lot of people are looking for other stuff. They want to look at action only. Other people want a TV show that whatever fits into them, their idea of a TV show. And maybe to some people, they're not getting what they wanted. But I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with it. Looking forward to the 4th episode dropping on Wednesday. And I don't know. What do you guys have as far as predictions of what's going to happen in this next episode?
So I think that whoever the boss guy of the corporate alliance was, I think he's gonna come back, and because word is gonna come through about the absolute crash and burn that was Ferrex, and he's gonna come back, and whoever the blonde Imperial is, that looks ISB in the white, she's gonna enter the story and start hunting. She's gonna start hunting Andor as well, and I think that's when they're gonna start pulling in some of their bigger resources as he tries to get his footing and learn things while now being hunted by the actual Empire.
Right. So do you think this is the last we've seen of Cyril Karn?
No, his character's too good to just dump him by the wayside.
That's true. How does he re-enter the story? Because as of right now, he's either going to get killed, which I don't think these Morlana Corpos guys would kill their own people, or fired or taken out of the picture. That seems like what should happen to him. So how does he remain a pivotal player?
I think he's going to go on a personal one-man crusade.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe he goes rogue.
Ooh. Like to try to redeem himself in the eyes of his superiors.
Uh-huh.
Or in the eyes of himself.
Yeah.
That too.
That would just be so cool to see him like try it, just like this, become an absolute wild card in the show as he like tries to hunt down Andor separate from everything else.
Mm-hmm. That would be a really cool dynamic to see the professional official way of hunting Andor down, combined with this one guy who's been scorned by his own kind, and now he's going after this personal vengeance tour to try to find. Oh, and maybe he uncovers the Rebel Alliance, the formation of the Rebel Alliance, and is trying to blow the lid off the whole operation to get kudos from his buddies. That's a cool idea. Yes, meeting Mon Mothma.
Did we already get that a little bit with the rogue person trying to fix their own problems with the lady trying to kill Darth Vader in the last one?
Reva?
When he put a ship, yeah.
Yeah, but that was like a personal issue from her childhood. I see what you're saying. This is more to gain favor corporately for the people that he works for. Like, see, guys, you need me on your team. I can prove myself. So it's a little bit different, but I see what you're saying. He'll become an Imperial, then he'll swap sides once he sees they don't care. Ooh, that's a good idea. Maybe he'll actually join the Empire as opposed to just this mall cop service. And then he'll see that they are not on the right side of things. That would be a cool dynamic. But what he said in this previous comment, Mon Mothma would be really cool to see in this next episode. And how they're all connected also is a really good question. Because we have this Luthen guy. We got Mon Mothma, Saw Gerrera. We know Bail Organa's floating around there somewhere. I don't know how involved he is. But we have all these players. We don't know how they're connected just yet. And also, how much are they going to take from the Force Unleashed? Would be very interesting. But I think we've expired all the Andor talk we can muster off these first 3 episodes.
Yeah, a lot of guessing at this point.
A lot of guessing. We will know in a day or two, depending on whether you're going to stay up. I'm probably not going to, because 3 a.m. is pretty tough. But that is going to be it. Any closing thoughts for either of you guys? Anyone in the chat have anything to add?
I don't anticipate any weird episodes where you're like, well, why was that in this series? It seems like they're good enough to just keep everything tidy where they need to.
It also doesn't seem like it's going to be episodic, like land on one planet, help the locals, leave. Like I don't think there's going to be any of that. Right. I don't think there's going to be any episodes, so to speak.
Yeah, it feels more like arcs rather than episodes.
Yes. And that's with, I'm sure you heard about season 2 supposedly being 4 arcs of 3, 1 year each. That's cool because it's almost like we get a short movie for each of those arcs. So who is Fulcrum in the, another question, who is Fulcrum in this timeline? And that's one thing that people that are critics of the show, like our Sledge Hate guy, might bring up. It was like, it raises more questions than it answers. It's the pilot. Like it's the start. It is supposed to raise questions because it has 9 episodes to answer those questions. So you can't please anyone. Israel, any closing thoughts from you?
I think that this is going to kind of do a flop of what previous Star Wars shows have done. In the sense,
Sledge Hate is like, what? You think it's going to flop?
No. It's going to do a flip flop on what has happened in the past.
Sure.
In that, a lot of the more recent films and TV shows have had really high critical ratings and fairly low audience ratings. And from everything that I'm seeing, it's the exact opposite. I keep up with a couple of different Star Wars channels, and I there's some that I've just given up on, but several of the people that I watch, Geetsleys and Generation Tech and what have you, Eckhart's Ladder, they don't have anything bad to say about the show. And I feel like a lot of the comment section here and just a lot of Star Wars fans in general who are like, semi long-term fans of Star Wars really like this show. And because it isn't following the Marvel method of storytelling, because it's not going for spectacle, and because it's not, drawing out big characters or doing big empowerment whatevers. I think it's going to be critically panned, but I think that the fans are absolutely going to love it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. There's going to be the news outlets that don't understand that the realism is something that is important to us, as we saw by Sledge Hate. That's a very good analysis, and I'm looking forward to that and expecting that the fans are going to be well pleased with this, most at least, and then the news outlets and the review sites are going to not like it because they just don't understand, bro. They just don't understand. But that's going to do it for the show tonight. Everyone, thanks for watching. But before we go, make sure you comment for the Republic, not chat. Go into the actual comment section, comment for the Republic. If you want to be extra helpful, you can tap like or dislike because honestly, it doesn't really matter. And share if you feel so inclined. Share with your grandma. Why don't you? But comment for the Republic on this video, and I would greatly appreciate it. Oh, it's Dan the Man coming in right at the end. Is it me or did Andor episode 4 get delayed? I don't think so, because it's Wednesday morning still, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as I heard.
Yeah, it's just that they did the first 3 all at once, so that might be why you're confused, Dan.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't heard anything. That would be sad if it was delayed. Although, I wouldn't mind if they released 3 episodes, but that would be tough to wait 3 weeks in between.
That would be tough to wait through.
So I don't know if we can do that. But yes, comment for the Republic. It's very nice to see all of you guys in chat today. Both of you guys, it's a pleasure to have you on. Everyone that watching, I appreciate your watch time. If you've been here from the very beginning, I really appreciate your time. May the stash be with you, and I will see you wherever I happen to see you in the galaxy.